We are rolling. Hey guys, we are the editors of Premier Guitar. Well, some of them were at Winter NAMM 2018 in Anaheim, and we're bringing you our editors' picks from day one of NAMM. I'm Sean Hammond. This is Jason Shadrick. We got Chris Keys, Mr. Giggles, aka, and Ted Drzdowski.
There you go.
Tedwardo, whatever. We've seen a ton of stuff today at the first day of NAMM, and we thought we'd talk to you about some of the coolest stuff we saw. So who wants to start off?
Ted.
All right, I guess I do.
Ted, is this really your first Winter NAMM ever?
It is my first Winter NAMM ever. I haven't been in Anaheim since 1980.
Wow.
When this was a parking lot for Disneyland.
They let you back in.
They did. Well, that's because the statute of limitations is long gone. You know, otherwise, I would never get back in here. But anyway, it's been a pretty amazing inundation of gear today, you know, with a lot of great stuff. I headed out right out of the park first thing in the morning. I walked in over to the Reverend booth, and there's Greg Koch, playing the new Billy Corgan Turs, which I thought was a really interesting instrument. It's a high-tuned variation on the guitar. It must look like a mandolin in Billy Corgan's hands, considering that guy's like 6'8", you know?
Well, Greg's no shorty either.
No, he's not. And neither is Ken Haas from Reverend, for that matter. But all these big men were playing little tiny guitars over there. So besides the amusing part of it, it was actually pretty hip. And it was a great sounding instrument. It had one rail hammer in it, and they were running it through a Reeves Gabrel's distortion engine, which I'd never heard before. I've been wanting to hear one of those pedals. And
who makes that?
It is. I am not exactly sure, but it's one of Reeves's, two signature pedals. And man, that thing is wicked. It's not just distortion. It also plays with your mind. It's a psychedelic distortion pedal. It's really a blast. And Greg was getting great sounds out of the Turs. It was completely radical.
Do you want to show a picture of this guitar?
I do have a picture of the Turs. Let me find this thing. Don't mind me.
I saw your pin. Just kidding, I didn't.
There we go. Nope, that's not it.
Wow, those
Dang
are
it.
some pretty odd. You're not supposed to show those at the show, Ted.
Okay, here we go.
Here, do you want to keep talking and I'll put it up to the camera?
Oh, sure, man.
I don't know how close.
But it's really playable. Great action, fast neck, comfortable medium kind of jumbo frets, which is something that I'm really fond of with all my guitars. So it was just a really great grab and go thing, And it's tuned from I think G to C, which is really unusual.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's
high tuning, right?
Yeah, it's high tuning. Yeah, so that's kind of a pretty cool thing. So that's just one of the things I saw. There were other things I really dug too. Shall I continue or shall I defer to someone else for a
We'll
moment?
alternate, yeah.
Volley.
Okay.
It's time to
Stop
volley.
hogging
All right,
the
let's
time,
do that.
dude. Who's gonna
Well,
go
we'll
next?
go out. Me and Jason will tag team this one. This is our second video of the day.
Yeah.
I'll talk. I'll hold it. You talk.
Okay. So we had went to the Dunlop booth. They had a couple new things. They had a mini wah, and they had this new classic. I'm spacing on the exact name, but you can see it in the picture. This classic fuzz, which is basically kind of like the same kind of sound as like a Hendrix fuzz face, real close to that. And let me see. And it has output and fuzz control with a buffer switch. Classic 108 fuzz, right? Mini casing, a buffer switch, which really helps, especially with the wah, because fuzz circuits and wahs sometimes don't hang out in the same circles. If you know what I mean.
But I liked when Brian did play without the buffer because it was like something very
choppy and gated.
gated. It was something that Larry from Primus would use effectively and awesomely.
Yeah.
And so I was happy to that. And if it happens to come out, I want credit for this. But I suggested putting the blue box, which is an MXR old dirt pedal
I
that
love
I
those.
love
Yeah.
from the Melvins Buzz Osborne uses. If they could put that in a mini enclosure, so if that
and
happens, I get credit.
When you said that, their eyes lit up. They're like, "You're right. We should totally do that."
Well, and the blue box is I'll just jump in for a sec. The blue box has a pretty distinctive sound.
Yeah.
And if you haven't heard the Melvins, but you have heard Led Zeppelin's Fool in the Rain, that's a blue box solo.
Yeah. There you go. All right. My next one was Taylor. Now they, admittedly, there we go. Sorry, eat the ice cream cone. Admittedly, acoustic bracing isn't the sexiest or sometimes most interesting thing, but they have this new way of bracing called the V class. And so we're in this.
Sounds like a car. Isn't that like a Lexus or something? Or no, Mercedes?
It's fancy. And so they had this new bracing revelation that Andy had been working. He's been working on for probably about 3 years, he said, and you know, we get hit with a lot of hyperbole sometimes at these shows, but when he started to play this guitar that had this new bracing, like both you and I were like, it was pretty spectacular. Admittedly, it was on a very nice instrument, but you could just kind of tell that there was something. The sounds, even just single notes, it was in tune more, like, and he kind of connected everything, like even intonation, you know, in the end, all of it roots in the bracing of an acoustic guitar. So it was pretty unbelievable, the sound of these new guitars, and they're going to start putting it out in the higher end, probably the 900 series and that kind of stuff, and over time work it down through the line.
Yeah, so it'll be something they'll totally revamp through the whole line as they can get, because Andy was telling us they need all new tooling, wood bracing, so it's a thing that
you mean it's going to like
quickly
replace the bracing on
Yeah.
the
but
other
it has
guitars?
to be such a thing that production-wise takes so long because they had to create new tools. He said when he figured it out and he had the idea, he's like, he drew it up in his head, made it in the shop as a prototype, and then he heard it. His first reaction was happiness because it worked, but also because he was worried because he's like, now I have to revamp the whole production cycle of building
Yeah.
He was seeing
a
the
Taylor.
dollars ring up for all the investment they were going to have to do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it was unbelievable. It was really amazing.
Sweet. I'm going to throw a bone to the bassist out there. Before I was on video today, I was wandering around way over there, that way, and Dingwall basses had pretty much all of their. Oh, I got to bring up the picture. Dingwall basses had a whole wall of basses. Really cool one here that's obviously T-Bird inspired. It's called the D-Bird Standard. It's really sleek, and they said that they sort of wanted to make it the Lamborghini of T-Birds. It's a lot thinner. They relocated like the strap position, and it doesn't dive down on the headstock like T-Birds usually do. And on a lot of their basses, there's a bass player named, I forgot his name. He's from the band Epica. It's like a symphonic metal band, and he had the idea of 3 ups in a row, and so these basses have like a 4-position selector. You can get a really wide variety of tones from like P style in the middle. You can get Jocko type tones. You get scoop stuff. Sounded really good. Looked really good. And then the same 3 pickup array on a bunch of different basses. And that bass, I guess, starts at like $1,560, which isn't bad. It's made in China, so they're bringing the prices down a little that way. But it sounded really good. We had a guy named Matt from some band called Soviet that was demoing it, and it sounded really good. Ted, you want to go next?
Yeah, well, this is a little subtle, but when we were at the Wampler booth today, there was something called the Equator, and as I said, it's subtle, and usually I tend to go for the extreme, but I really love the Equator. It's an interesting, it's a EQ pedal, and it blends parametric and graphic EQ qualities, so you can just tweak to a really fine-tuned level. And I just thought the precision and the conception of it was really admirable. I totally dug it. Plus, you could really hear it changing the tone of the guitar as we moved it through its steps. And it was pretty delicious, man. I'm going to show you all a picture of it. Here I come. Look out. I'm getting close. Anyway, that's it right there. It's the Equator. And it's an all-analog pedal. Okay, there we go. Really, it's an all-analog pedal. Now it's a closer all-analog pedal. Anyway, it's an all-analog pedal. And I thought it was really great. I mean, I thought it was just a really smart conceptual idea.
Would you say it's a set it and forget it pedal, kind of like a booster amp enhancer?
Well, you know, you can use it that way if you want to, but I think it's actually really good for shifting your bass tone if you want to play with things
too. Yeah, you could radically revoice your guitar that way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, quite radically. And if you've got like a distortion pedal and you want to just kind of change your different, tonal textures on the distortion, you can actually use this for it too. You don't have to actually tweak the pedal.
Is that something that they maybe you put at the front or the end of probably the front of your pedal chain, you think?
I would say so, yeah. But I really dug it. It was a really cool pedal. You know, and again, it's subtle. It's not like a big roar. It's not like a wash of delay. It's just a really precise way to tweak your tone.
Right on.
Cool. Who's going next?
I'll go next. And so going off your cue, Ted, something that isn't subtle and that is very destructive was the almighty bass from Daredevil. And hopefully I can show you through the pedal. And yeah, it was just an original, I guess, circuitry from Johnny at Daredevil. And it was mean. But the thing that I enjoyed about it, listening to it while we were recording that video, was that sometimes with bass distortions and fuzzes, they kind of lose their character of the bass itself and also the drive in the pedal, but it still retained its low end and it still had what you would want in a bass, and not without losing a lot of the, like, I guess sometimes with the bass fuzz you lose a lot of the actual low end, and so that was a cool thing. And I'd be curious to see how it kind of rides through a guitar too.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that was my other thing I saw that was pretty rad.
So my last pick of the day was in the same, they were sharing a booth actually with Daredevil, was Milkman Sound from San Francisco. Tim Marcus was an amp builder, builds a lot of like hybrid style amps where it's part like solid state, part tube. And so he came out, and his amps are, you know, boutique style, American style amps for the most part. So he came out with this new little pedal, and it's called, wait for it, the Amp is what it's called. And basically, it's a 50-watt amp that you can use in a bunch of different ways. You can use it you can go from your guitar into this, into your pedal board, into your amp, into another amp, and use it as a preamp pedal. You can use it in place of your amp. If you want to go to DI, you can plug this into a cabinet, and you can run both through a cabinet and a DI, and the DI has some cab sim on it. There's a headphone jack, and it's has switchable reverb and foot switchable reverb and tremolo, with depth and rate controls on the tremolo. And we played it through a 212 cab, and it sounded great. It sounded really, really good. Tons of headroom. It breaks up just a little bit when you really, really crank it, but it's really kind of more like a pedal platform type amp, and use your pedals to kind of color the tone. And it weighed like 2.5 pounds. It was super light, and probably the best part is it's probably going to come in under $800. So I was super impressed. Tim was real excited to show it to us, and RJ, guitar player, played it for us, was a Nashville guy, and he was great. And but yeah, I was really, really interested in that.
Nice. My last one is going to be a twofer, and as a little preamble, I'm sure you gear freaks out there have noticed over the last, especially the last couple of years, but I guess it's happened for a long time, but it seems like it's really intensified over the last couple of years. There are like brands that were big decades ago, were big for a time, and then whatever genre was associated with them, like garage rock or whatever, after that kind of died down, these brands kind of died down and went away, and now there's all this interest in certain brands again. One of those brands is, well, there's like an umbrella company that is reissuing stuff under the Harmony name. It's all right. I got it. Thanks, though. No, I don't want Surrey. So Harmony guitars is being revived. It's really new. They didn't have like prices or anything on them. It's going to be sort of mid-level, I guess. But I would imagine that players like Annie Clark helped revive the interest in this. If you look at the, I don't know if I'm getting that in the right position, but the white guitar on the left is a familiar silhouette to fans of St. Vincent, I'm sure. There's no endorsement or anything there, but that's just a point of reference. They're not like reissues or anything, as they're like sort of taking the vibe of the past and combining it with tweaks for modern players or whatever. I didn't really get to hear them a whole bunch, but they looked cool. They had like 3 or 4 different body shapes, including that, I think is that called the it's similar to a Bobcat, but is it the Silhouette? I don't remember. They had those. They also have a line of tube amps that looked cool. Let me find. Here's the head and head and cab. I don't know. Can you see that? Looked pretty cool. And then the same like parent company is also reviving. This is kind of weird, but cool. Tysco, known for cool garage rock guitars like the Spectrum and stuff like that. I think they're reviving some guitars later, but the first thing they brought was actually pedals, and they looked really cool. Up, okay. I'm getting the thumbs up. I'm in the good position. There's a boost, a silicon fuzz, and an analog delay with up to 600 milliseconds of delay. And I don't know, did you guys see these?
Oh, no.
They look really cool. I heard the fuzz a little bit. It sounded cool, so I'm excited to hear and maybe play them. So anybody have any others, or should we just...
There are a couple other things I thought were worth mentioning, which is the Friedman BE50. It's got 3 different channels, and they're all pretty wicked. It's got a cleanish channel with a lot of headroom on it, which is cool, but it also does that really great snarling thing, and we heard it up close through a 4x12, and it was rock. It was just absolute rock and roll. Love the tone of it. And also Kiesel, we talked to Jeff Kiesel a little bit, and when we were visiting with him, he's got some really interesting things going on, a lot of new guitars with fan frets, but I found there's a Jason Becker tribute model, a new Jason Becker tribute model is coming out, which
it's
I thought
got like the multicolored pickups and stuff, and
yes, and it's a very sweet looking.
There's like no tint on the finish.
Well, there's that, and there's also one that's sort of an authentic. It's based on a model that Jason played with 22 frets. It's sort of the white cream color, and it's got off-on switches for each of the pickups. It's got an SSH configuration, and a percentage of the profits from that go to help pay Jason's medical bills. And I thought that was worth noting, and it was a cool, highly playable S-style guitar.
Sweet. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about, or should we plug our other live streams and get out of here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so you guys may have seen one of our live streams earlier today. Every day of the show, we're doing what we're calling a Gear Guru live stream, and we've got some really cool guests that we're bringing in to talk about their field. Today we had Eric and Sean from Positive Grid and Line 6, and we had Joe Gore, who writes for us. He has his own pedals. You guys probably know Joe Gore. He does our recording guitarist column. He was moderating a discussion about analog versus digital modeling and stuff. And tomorrow we're going to be talking to Oliver Ackerman and Ben Hines Ben's from Dwarfcraft, Oliver's from Death by Audio. That will be at 11 Pacific tomorrow. But of course it will be available later if you can't catch it live. So check that out. On Saturday, we've got Electro Harmonics' Mike Matthews and Jamie Stillman from Earthquaker. And on Sunday, we'll have Paul Reed Smith and Nick Huber. I think you probably know Paul Reed Smith, but Nick Huber is a great luthier from Germany who has a pretty cool story about how Paul kind of helped him in his career. So 11 a.m. Pacific, if you want to join us live the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or just check it out later on YouTube. So we'll see you. Oh, before we go, also, every day of the show, we're doing this Editor's Picks live stream. It'll be about 5:30 Pacific each day, depending. Just, check us out around 5:30. We'll tell you what we saw that day. Thanks for joining us.